Jurassic World.
Alright, I got this, don't you worry. So, Jurassic World starts off with like this family. It's this mom and the dad taking their 2 kids to the airport, about to go see Jurassic World, a theme park ran by their aunt. And like behind the scenes, the parents are going through some divorce stuff. It's a minor detail that comes up a little later in the movie. Regardless, they make it to Jurassic World. It's fantastic. Everything's high-tech, futuristic. And, then they're like, oh, where's our aunt? And then she's like, oh, I got them a nanny. Cut forward, we made this dinosaur. And they're like, oh, the base is a T-Rex. And they're like, what else is it? And we're like, we don't know. And then they're like, we need to bring in this guy to make sure the cage is safe for later. And then he's like, all right, you got all this shit wrong with it. And they're like, what else is your dinosaur? And they're like, that's classified. Long story short, they end up the dinosaur gets loose, starts eating people, starts fucking shit up. And they're like, we really need to know what this dinosaur is. And then it kind of just keeps releasing dinosaurs and telling other dinosaurs what to do. And just generally wreaks havoc on the entire island. Starts killing dinosaurs for sport. Everybody's in danger. At the very end, you get the raptors, which I think is the coolest part of the movie, to chase down the thing, finds the dinosaur, they're like, oh no, big dinosaur's also raptor, it can talk to him. And then everybody in the InGen elite squad dies, and shoots the raptors after being told not to shoot them. Make it back to the lab, everything's going wrong.
Hold on a second. To be fair, the raptors had turned on them at that point.
I know, that's true. I don't think Owen cared at that point. Anyway, get back. The Indominus Rex shows up, the raptors surround him outside, and then Owen does the thing where he removes the camera and all that. It's a very touching moment. And then at that moment, Blue decides, hey, we love this guy, we're gonna fucking kill you, Indominus Rex, and then they turn on him. Indominus Rex immediately knocks out Blue, kills the other 2 raptors. Little kid's like, we need more teeth, because he's some kind of fucking super mega genius. Lady goes, tells one nerd guy to open up a gate, opens gate, T-Rex comes out, we get epic fight scene between Indominus and T-Rex. Indominus is about to kill the T-Rex, Raptor shows up, turns the tides, they both fuck up the fucking Indominus Rex, and it comes like, oh, you think I'm done, and then big shark dinosaur thing pops out the water, grabs it, and drags it underwater, and that's the end.
Yay.
Yay.
So, this movie, it feels off. Something about it is a little strange, right? It's something that Jackson and I kept noticing throughout it. Just the way it's shot.
It feels artificial.
Yeah,
it does
100%.
feel very artificial.
I don't think I know what you... What
it
is...
like a fucking commercial is what I want. Especially the airport scene, I felt like I was watching, I don't know, just the cinematography just felt like I was watching a commercial. It was super off-putting.
Oh.
I believe this is the first movie that was oh, we're remaking the classic movies. I believe this is the one that started that trend. And
yes.
I think you can kind of tell because it's not as bad as those following ones. It's a good first effort, which is probably why they decided, okay, we can just start doing this,
Those bastards, these sons of bitches.
Right. Am I correct in saying this is probably the first one? Ghostbusters was after this, Star Wars was after this.
I think Jurassic World came out in 2016.
15.
I believe. 15? That would make sense. Because Legendary started popping off around that time period. Because they also are responsible for the MonsterVerse movies.
That's a tough call, dude. That's a tough call.
I mean...
I believe I'm correct in saying that. But,
when did the Rise of the Planet of the Apes start?
2012, I think.
Ooh. That might be earlier, but also, that's
but
not...
But does that count? Because that's technically a sequel.
Not really in line with what I'm talking about, where, Jurassic World is just kind of the plot of Jurassic Park, but, new.
Yeah. They're
Ghostbusters is just kind of the plot of Ghostbusters, but new.
It's like a reprisal,
Women.
Women.
Didn't they also just go back
also, just the fucking product placement in this movie as well, by the way.
Mm-hmm. It was talking about the Mercedes.
So fucking blatant. The Mercedes especially, but just a ton of other
I hate to bring it to you, but
things.
Mercedes has been advertising in this movie since the first movie.
It's never been this blatant though. They'll literally park the car in the perfect shot for an advertising scene, a commercial, and they did that many times during the movie. They're not trying to hide it.
It actually took me to rewatch this movie to realize, and I didn't even realize it, recognize it because I saw the car. I recognized that they were G-Wagons because of the noise the doors made when they shut. Because G-Wagons have a very distinct noise when you shut them. And I was like, oh shit, these are G-Wagons. I was like, oh yeah, Mercedes, they really like sponsoring these movies or whatever.
That's the most autistic thing I've ever heard someone say.
What are you talking about?
Dude, the cars, they have a specific noise and I recognize.
When you work at a dealership where all of them are Mercedes and the door has a very specific clicking noise, it's not that hard.
I'm with Dylan on this one, too. The doors on G-Wagons do have a very... Like, that's actually legitimately a selling point that a lot of rich people buy these cars for, is because they have the doors are, like, really solid and they feel really good to close because they make, like, a really satisfying clicking noise. Like, that's literally a selling point to these cars.
You also have to shut the doors rather hard as well, because they don't shut very easy at all.
Cars are dumb and stupid! Cars are dumb and stupid! So from what I found, Tanner, it looks like Jurassic World as well as The Force Awakens came out in the same year. Jurassic World did come out...
Wait!
They were
Force
both
Awakens
2015.
was 2015? Wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was later than that.
No.
Yeah, I thought it was like
so it looks like it may have been a bit of a tag team effort between them, you know?
Maybe.
Worst tag team I've ever seen. So when they're in, like, the Indominus Rex enclosure, and they were starting to run away from it, why the fuck did the guard open the main gate, not the little side door that they came in through?
He wanted to leave.
Yeah, you would have had to bolt back through the edge of the cage.
So yeah, when they were like they're looking at the scratch marks. Up to the right of that is where the observation room was, but the door they came in through was back behind them, which is the way they ran to leave. And then
so that I feel like that kind of backs me up. Why would you imagine that would be observation room, some sort of stairwell, and then
I mean, I guess so, but
the entrance. So, like, somehow the architecture of this cage is you go from the observation room, walk all the way around the enclosure, and then you enter through the person door.
Yeah, because that's where they were running to, and then the fucking Indominus Rex showed up. They're like, oh shit, and they ran the other direction, and they didn't have any other option.
I don't make no sense.
Speaking of not making any sense, why... Okay, I've got, like, two things with that scene as well. One being, why the fuck do they think the scratch marks are an indicator that this thing is trying... Like, or it did escape or is trying to? I feel like it's just, like, attacking the cage isn't that shocking.
It seems like a pretty big leap in judgment. You'd think they'd be like, oh, well, we obviously have cameras pointing everywhere, and someone would definitely notice if it were if it fell onto the other side of the cage.
Yeah, and then also, they have a fucking tracker in the goddamn dinosaur, and for some reason they're using, like, infrared to detect if it's in the cage or not, and not just, seeing if the fucking tracker's inside the dinosaur. But and, like, they even confirm it later. They're like, oh yeah, it's still in the cage. We confirmed it. Way the fuck over here. Why didn't they just do that at the start? Why did they even risk going in the first place without confirming? It doesn't make any sense. It's so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because if they did that, then we'd have no movie.
True.
What?
That's a total plot contrivance then, Dylan.
I don't know, man.
Let me put it this way. So we have this dumb plot hole here that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Would the movie not be better if it legitimately had just climbed out?
I feel like it would have been very obvious if it had escaped, though, is the issue. Considering the paddock was under construction, and there were people around it constantly.
I think it would have been better if they just, like, tried to highlight the fact that the company working on this was just, like, cutting costs or something, and there was just shoddy construction with its cage, and it found an exploit in that. I think that would have been much better done.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, like, as you literally see, like, randomly there's just a scene that's supposed to be normal, and then suddenly, bam, the fucking dinosaur comes out of fucking nowhere, and that's how they find out that it's gone. Because it just murks some people, and then it's, like, it really snowballs everything. I think that would have been a much better way of doing it.
Yeah. Now, one thing I will give the film praise for here, real quick, within the same scene, guys, within the same scene that you all hate. So... After, like, fucking Chris Pratt escapes, and he's, like, hiding under the car, and he's seeing, like, the dino, it's sniffing around. It's, like, eating people now. Mm-hmm. I do like how he, like, fucking, like, cuts the gas underneath the car, and he, like, fucking sprays himself down with it to, like, mask his smell. And they just trust the audience enough to know that, like, they'll understand why he's doing that. And he isn't saying, like, I gotta spray myself down so that the dinosaur can't smell me.
Yeah, if they made this today, there would be a scene... 2 minutes later where he runs back into the girl and she's like, why do you smell like gas?
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of the girl...
Uh-huh.
Fucking Jackson could not get enough of this lady when we were watching it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I don't normally like older women. She's like in her 30s at the time of this movie, and I don't like redheads. But there was something about her, man. She had a nice face. I like the cut, man. She had like the fucking Hime cut is what they call it. Big fan all around.
He's a big fan of Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yes, sir.
I'm pretty sure she got caught up in the fappening, so there you go, Jackson.
Did she?
Oh.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe.
No way.
Who didn't?
Fair. Victoria Justice did. I was a big fan of that back in the day.
Goodness gracious.
I like how they had henchperson of indeterminate gender in here.
Yeah.
They're one of my favorite character actors. So, you guys don't know what I'm talking about.
I wasn't looking at the credits, man, if I'm being honest.
No. Well, I recognize them. The person who was running the gyroscope thing, that person is also in Lemony Snicket's unfortunate. What the fuck is the title?
Series of Unfortunate Events.
Series of Unfortunate. He's in that, and he's his name in the show is henchperson of indeterminate gender.
Oh, I see.
I just find that guy very funny, and I like seeing him in shit.
Yeah.
Let me see if you guys agree with this criticism.
Okay.
This movie is too bright.
Too bright? Like,
I definitely think that has a large hand to play in, like, it just feeling, like, really artificial.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like, I like the first movie a lot just because it really set the atmosphere of what was going on well. Mm-hmm. And this movie, it was kind of like happy fun time. It's like nice and sunny out, perfect day. Like the first movie did it really good being at nighttime during a fucking rainstorm. The atmosphere was awesome, and it did not have nearly as much impact with this one.
Speaking of not having as much impact, these characters, these little boys, okay, they're fucking just cardboard pieces. I don't care about them whatsoever.
Yeah, no, not at all. Let me ask you guys a question. Mm-hmm. This is a common trope in movies where, like, parents are getting divorced, so they send the kids off on, like, a trip or something. Has this ever happened in real life?
Probably.
Maybe.
I don't think this is a thing people do. I think this is just something that movies have made up as a convenient, like, plot device, I guess.
I mean, I'm sure it's happened at some point. I think to say that it's never happened is a bit of a stretch.
Maybe if you live in wealthy families.
I just realized they did the exact same thing in both the first Jurassic Park and in Jurassic Park 3.
What? How'd they do it in the first Jurassic Park?
I guess they've decided it is a staple of the Jurassic series.
How'd they do it in the first one?
The kids their parents are getting divorced while they're visiting the park.
At what point do they reveal the parents are getting divorced?
It's the lawyer talking to the dig guy, and he says, Hammond couldn't be here to meet me. He's like, his daughter is getting divorced or some shit.
Oh, I totally glazed over that.
Okay.
Whoopsies.
You would. But I think
also
they
didn't notice.
Well,
but apparently it is a staple of the series.
It's true. Yeah, it's not. This is now something that has to be in the movies. There need to be kids in it, and their parents need to be going through an ugly divorce.
Yeah.
That ultimately ends up bringing together in the end.
Well,
because of traumatic experiences. I don't know about the first one. I can't say about the first one. I don't know.
It's really yet to be seen how it affects them in this movie.
I genuinely enjoyed a lot of this movie. I think the idea of not necessarily controlling the raptors, but I think a lot of the scenes containing the raptors are really cool. And then, like, the whole chase scenes that ensue afterwards and, like, the pop-ins, pop-outs kind of thing. I thought that was all very realistic as well, just based on the fact that there wasn't, like, unrealistic deaths occurring, or non-deaths, I guess would also be the case.
Speaking of deaths, why did they give, like, the most torturous and drawn-out death to a character who did not deserve it?
You talking about the owner guy?
No, the nanny.
Yeah, the nanny lady.
Oh, yeah.
Why did they do that to her?
When I first saw this movie, I was like, "Damn, that was kind of a harsh way to throw out a character."
It's so overboard. They didn't need, like
she.
What is the lesson we're being told with that?
Like, she just gets carried away, and then she gets dunked repeatedly in this giant pool. And you know it's coming. You know it's gonna happen. You're like, oh, she's gonna get like. But I didn't think it would happen in the way like it would grab her, try to fly away, and then chomp in death. My only hope for her at that point is, like, she didn't get chomped and she just went down the gullet nice and easy.
But why did they do that to her, Dylan?
I don't know, man. They wanted somebody to die to the Mosasaurus. They didn't just want the one dinosaur or whatever. They needed a person.
Dylan, I think you're completely wrong. I would much rather be chopped in half and bleed to death relatively quickly than, like, be dissolved in the stomach acid of that thing fully alive.
That's fair. I don't know what I guess I'm thinking of the initial pain, like when it first happens.
Yeah. Anyway, actually,
long-lasting pain.
Yeah, I do have a positive for this movie, and also something that the positive leads into a massive negative. So I think the positive of this movie is that I think they really sell this being like an amusement park. It really the actual like set for all of this stuff is really well done. I think it definitely feels like this is like an actual place that could exist. It really sold me on that. But that also leads into a massive negative I have with this movie, and it's kind of like in a comparison to the first movie, and it also kind of links in what Tanner was talking about, like what the lesson is behind this. What was the lesson we're learning behind this movie? It's kind of just like a movie to watch for like a spectacle. The first movie, it was constantly trying to drive home the fact that these people are fucking incompetent. All the goddamn time they're showing that the park is like a total failure. They're constantly breaking. They have fucking stupid dumb programmers who's literally a rat working for them. And the whole point is like, you can't rush these things. You have to like take your time. You shouldn't be like focusing on just like the money for this. They don't really do that in this movie. Like the incompetence that's shown in this movie is I guess like the fucking guy getting pulled into the velociraptor cage, and then also their stupidity with letting the dinosaur out. But there really isn't anything else that's shown in that way, and it doesn't really feel like they're trying to actually like say anything about this. It's just like, oh shit, yeah, no, it's just this is happening to happen, not because you're trying to like show anything.
So the point, I agree with you that I don't agree with you that they don't have a point. I do agree that they don't do it very well. Like I think the whole point of it is that it's trying to do the don't mess with nature story again, and the way they're doing it this time is by, they created like a genetically enhanced super dinosaur.
Yeah.
And this is a major problem I have with the remakes, and this one specifically is the shocking. So interestingly enough, let me see if this makes any sense, the way I'm going to phrase it. Having like a unique genetically engineered super dinosaur ends up making these movies feel more like a generic monster movie.
But Tanner, in the third one, they really want to give the dinosaur personality, and the director stated they really wanted it to feel like the Joker.
Huh? I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
I can't even remember in the third one. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
I don't even remember any like modified dinosaurs in the third one.
There aren't. That's the thing.
He wants to make it feel like the Joker, Tanner.
Here's the thing in
reference to what?
That's just what he said. He wanted the personality to feel like the Joker.
The only other thing I will say about this movie, and it's more of like a plot thing, so it's not even really against the movie. There were multiple scenarios. It was kind of like the confidence thing, like Jackson was talking about. There were multiple scenarios where you like bring this guy in who clearly has military experience and has experience with dealing with lethal, intelligent dinosaurs, and he's like telling these people, "All right, you need to tell me what that dinosaur's made out of so we can properly handle the situation." And they're like, "That's classified." I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I think at the point at which a genetically modified, like you said, super dinosaur, and you're not allowed to know what it's made of, I think it's very important, especially considering the fact how many things they discover about it along the way. And like the containment squad. So like, this is what they're here for. This is what they do. They fucking die immediately. So like, a lot of things just happen because they don't listen to Owen. And like I'm just going to go back to the whole like not telling people what the dinosaur's made of. It ended up being part raptor, which makes it hyper intelligent for one thing. It's bigger than a T-Rex, which is also another issue. And then it can camouflage because it has like cuttlefish DNA. And I'm pretty sure like, we needed to be able to get used to the growth it was gonna have. And I'm like, you could still be selective about the DNA. Like, if you're doing DNA splicing to that level, I'm sure you could cancel out certain genes that occur in DNA at that point. Same thing with the fucking frog, where it's like, it blocks out the infrared, and that's why we couldn't see it. It's the same shit. So I think at one point, it's just irrelevant how much of this dinosaur is classified to the extent of people's lives, and why they don't have emergency boats to get people off the island, or some kind of emergency bunker or something.
Sure. Whatever that was. I think you had like 4 different points in there that you kept on like weaving in between. I couldn't make heads or tails of that.
I don't know.
This movie is too long.
It's way too long.
I don't think that's true.
It needs to be, I'd say, at least 15 minutes shorter.
I was gonna say 20 personally.
Oh, that's not by much.
Shave off an hour and a half of the film.
I will say, I was bored and I watched like the behind the scenes and deleted scene shit. There was a scene where like they're running to like the old Jurassic Park building, and she's got like the one lady's got like the shit smeared on her chest. That actually was from a deleted scene that they decided not to keep in the movie.
By
Like
the way, that fucking dumb shit where they are still able to start the car.
I mean, it's a battery issue. What do you want?
That we saw them doing repairs on it.
Yeah. What do you got to say about it?
Was it just a battery issue that was wrong with it? Because it made
Well, I mean, yeah.
I don't know, when they were talking about it, it made it seem like it was a lot bigger of an issue. Like they're just like getting this fucking car that's been sitting around for who knows how long.
I mean,
Probably
for sure, based on what even I know about cars, there for sure would have been more wrong with that car than just a dead battery. Like, the oil had been sitting for too long, the gas had been sitting for too long, the coolant might have drained out, kind of shit, or it could have gone
Would
bad.
that shit stop it from running, though?
Eventually. I think getting them out of there would have sufficed. I guess they weren't in the Jeep for that long, so maybe it's realistic to say it probably broke down after they got back to safety, assuming they weren't driving more than 15-30 minutes.
Yeah. Anyways.
I don't know about all that. I feel like the cars definitely wouldn't start after all that time.
It was... Okay.
Oh, that's what he's...
Yeah.
He's
I don't
wrong.
think that these two children would be able to get that thing going.
It's a battery replacement. It's so fucking easy. What do you mean? They talked about
Do
saying...
you really think that them sitting there after all that long, the battery is the only thing that would be an issue at that point?
I just got done covering
Okay,
exactly
guys.
what we... Jesus Christ.
This is stupid.
It is about cars after all. That would make sense for it to be stupid. So, guys, what are you going to be giving your ratings, Dylan?
I'm not... why do I gotta go first?
What do you mean why you have to go first? You know why. Give your rating.
Fine, S.
There we go.
Wow.
I really like this movie. It's very entertaining.
I think it's better than Lost World and 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm giving it an A-.
Okay.
That's still way too fucking high. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Dylan?
I did-
Unfortunately, I have Lost World at B+, so...
brutal. Yeah, I give this movie a C+.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I think it's C+ as well for it.
Oh my god.
Crazy. Where does that land us? Did we say where... Oh, wait, never mind.
Probably lands at like a
Monster
B
House was in
minus.
fact at B-. Shocking. And Jurassic World got put at B+.
Okay. That sounds about right.